Good afternoon, welcome to the Recruitment Agency Expo at London Excel. My name's Jamie King, I'm from Firefish Software, and this is the Hook, Line and Data podcast where we'll be talking about all the data, insights and metrics you can use to drive profitable growth, because at Firefish, that is what we are all about, putting data at the heart of your business to drive profitable growth. So, first of all, quick introduction. I'd like to introduce you to Chris from AGPayroll. We're going to be talking about how we can use payroll data to drive profitable growth. I thought first and foremost, I should give you a chance to give yourself a proper introduction to Chris and to AGPayroll.
Yeah, how are you doing? My name's Chris Fahey. I'm the owner of AGPayroll. We provide UK and international payroll services. So in the UK, it's umbrella, CIS, limited company. And internationally, we can payroll in over 160 countries globally. Yeah.
Awesome. So Chris and I are connected on LinkedIn, which means he knows I love a recruitment-specific dad joke. So I prepared one for you.
Okay.
All right. So, client calls a recruiter and says, I want candidates in their early 30s, 15 years experience in generative AI models, based out of our office in Norwich, and not paying more than £150 a day.
Yeah.
Recruiter says, no problem, fee's going to be 25 grand. Client says, you must be joking. And recruiter goes, yeah, but to be fair, you started it. Hey, there was a pity laugh in there.
Things can only get better.
Oh, okay, well, I did prepare a couple more. Hopefully they go better. Right, so we're in the process of developing this partnership for customers. You know all about the Firefish mantra about putting data at the heart of a recruitment agency so owners can drive operational costs down and therefore profitability up. What metrics do you recommend people should be monitoring now in their payroll to enable payroll insights that help them forecast growth and profitability throughout the rest of 2025?
Yeah, so through our integration, there's lots of cool data that the agencies that work with Firefish and AGPayroll are going to pull off. They're going to be able to look at the charge rates, they're going to be able to cut it down by sector, by margins, by fees, etc. So they'll be able to pull off all of these reports just through using Firefish's system, which will integrate with AGPayroll. But at the moment, there's the data that agencies should be looking at is, we're having lots of questions about agencies that have got PAYE workers who are looking to transfer them over to umbrella because of the employer's NI increase that's coming up. Yeah. There's also other sectors like construction who are looking at workers being transferred from PAYE to CIS. So that's the data we're looking at just now, is the breakdown between umbrella, PAYE, CIS, and agencies understanding the split within their contract and temp base. Okay, cool. So as Firefish customers start to look at the metrics that they can see improved by taking on AGPayroll and benefiting from that sort of working relationship that you've built so far, what are the metrics you point to that they should see improving as a result of that integration? Yeah, so the metrics is basically the process. So from start to finish, whenever an agency uses Firefish's software, at the moment there's a bit of a blocker when it comes to the timesheet part of it. So we have invested a lot in the technology. We work with some good partners on the technology side of things. So basically from start to finish, when it gets to the payroll part of things, then we'll have the facility and the ability on the app to get the timesheets authorised. The contractor will put their timesheet hours on there. Yeah. The agency will, they'll say yes, they have worked those hours. And then on the back of that, once we get the green light, then that's what starts the whole payroll system. So we don't need spreadsheets being sent across, it's all integrated with the systems. Yeah. So on the back of that, again, there's lots of reports that can be pulled out from a payroll side of things, from a recruitment side of things, to the margins, the charge rates, etc. So that's all the stuff that we're working with you guys at the moment.
So some of the numbers that they'd look at then, things like timesheets submitted on time, looking at the number of late timesheets that they're having to deal with, reducing that down by making it self-sufficient or self-serve for the candidate. The time it takes then to go from submission to authorization should be, the average period should be reducing.
Yeah.
So we've got fewer timesheets being submitted late,
Yeah.
fewer timesheets that are taking a long time to authorize, and then presumably, because everything is self-served, you keep the human in the loop, but you reduce the number of times that information has to be keyed, then the number of errors on a weekly payroll should be coming down too. Because we all know, correcting that stuff is man hours, and it's costly. And payroll teams are often burdened with, we got enough to do without having to fix errors too, right?
And that's the key area. It's the man hours and the automation and how much time that'll save the agency and the recruiter. So we worked out on average for every recruitment consultant that uses our system that they'll save around 16 hours a week.
Wow.
Not just through the timesheet side of things, but also through the compliance side of things, because we'll do the right to work checks, the key information documents, the ID verification, etc. So if you went all in on the service between Firefish and AGPayroll, on average they're saving around 16 hours a week per consultant.
So that's either 16 hours that you can reduce off of your labour costs, or if we look at 2025 as a year for profitable growth, we're all crossing our fingers, right? Even with NI increases, that just means there are other areas we have to look at to try and save money to maintain profitability. Those 16 hours give you a chance to scale before you have to hire any new people in. So therefore we're avoiding some of those salaries, which of course carry greater employers' NI costs. So the labour margin per temp should be coming down is the key metric that you should be looking at. Look at that now and go, right, the labour margin per temp, how much can I bring that down by using two fully integrated systems?
And 2025 is going to be about sales, business development. I listened to Wendy's chat earlier on, and Wendy's always banging the drum about AI, but I really liked what she said today about AI can only take you so far, and then the human being has to take over, and it has to be face-to-face. So I'm a big believer in sales, business development, but use AI to get the leads in, but when it comes to the actual sale, then it has to be face-to-face. But that's where these extra hours that the consultants are going to have, then they can use it on these face-to-face or the old school telephone calls, etc. Because that's a huge place for that in recruitment.
It's another important point, right? Because here we are talking about efficiencies you can get out of payroll, and we have a number of our customers who've reported back to us after implementations that they've been able to drive operational costs down by 15%. Brilliant, love that. But also the AI we use to drive new business, the automation we use to drive operational efficiency between CRM and payroll is freeing up time for the most important thing, which is human interaction, right? So not only should your teams be burdened with less admin when getting to payroll, but the time that they gain back from not having to do all that stuff should be about driving new client relationships, talking to more candidates, generating more leads. So this operational efficiency actually has a top line effect on the P&L too, right? Not just bottom.
And an agency comes on board with ourselves. The only admin side of that is basically going to be putting the contractor or the temp's details into the Firefish CRM at the start. Then after that, they stand back.
Which, by the way, they can give the candidate a self-serve portal to be able to do that stuff too. Just dropping that in there.
The only other bit of admin in there, you have to authorise the timesheets, and then that's it. You basically step back, and the payroll, the CRM, the compliance side of things, it's all automated. So then they do have the time to do this BD, sales, all the stuff that we talked about there. So I think that's when they save a lot of hours and a lot of money.
Yeah, good. So I had the luxury over the last 6 years in SaaS. I was a recruiter before, but I was a predominantly perm recruiter. I had a little bit of exposure to contracts, but never temp. Then I got into selling SaaS solutions, and very quickly I got into selling CRM and payroll platforms, and that opened up a world of inefficiencies for me, teams that were already burdened. And one of the biggest ones was worker queries about payroll related things. So what was my holiday balance? How much have I used? What have I accrued this month? What were my pension contributions? All that sort of stuff. And typically recruiters would pump that question to an already busy payroll department. Like, what do you see as the big wins for making that candidate self-served on all of their payroll data? Because AGPayroll gives them an app that allows them to access that data, right?
So there's wins for the agency, there's wins for the contractor, and there's wins for ourselves as well. So basically what the app does, it gives the contractor or the temp a chat box. So they fire through the questions. It comes to our customer care team, who are all human beings, who then send the answers back. So from a contractor's point of view, they're not having to pick the phone up, wait 5, 10, 15 minutes. They're asking a question, a specific question, they're getting the answer back. But also on the app, they get to see their pay slips on there. So most of the queries are about their pay slips.
Yeah.
Why have I not been paid that many hours? Why have I not been paid at that rate? So they can see the pay slips in front of them, and then they can ask the question through the chat box. But also from an agency point of view, they get access to the agency portal. So the agency portal is basically access to all of our information. Right. So they can see all the pay slips on there, they can see all the compliance documents, etc. So sometimes it's a straightforward question that they can answer. Yeah. So rather than them having to come to the payroll company and the contractor having to phone in, they can just answer it there and then.
Do you see more people wanting to go self-serve though on that sort of stuff? I mean, you kind of have to put data in front of the candidate and the client really, because that's how we're all used to engaging with anything money related. Yeah. I don't go to a bank anymore, I go to an app. If I want my mortgage updated, I don't phone the mortgage company, I log into their web portal. And presumably that means you see the number of payroll related queries drop because people can just access that information themselves.
So the payroll queries 99 times out of 100 are really straightforward ones. Yeah. So why am I getting paid 40 hours this week rather than 45 hours a week? So you can sort that out straight away, or that's been a mistake, or 5 hours were last week. So it's like really straightforward questions and answers. So people just want quick answers straight away, and most agency consultants can give them that answer, or our customer care team can give them that answer through the chat box. So that's used to being a Friday morning, the phones were going off the hook. Friday was a busy day. Now on a Friday morning we don't have any phone calls because everyone is happy, and if there are any queries, they get them through the chat box.
Do you have an NPS that allows you to measure something like that? Because that is almost an intangible benefit of you. It's intangible in the respect that it's hard to measure, but it's an enormous benefit on the candidate experience. The chances of them traitoring off to another temp recruitment agency, if they're getting paid on time, pay slips are always available to them, information's all self-served, they don't have to phone in and wait for somebody to phone them back. Locking a candidate in is a tough thing to measure. How sticky are they? But if you've got NPS scores that prove our customers' candidates say this is the best experience, that's arguably a USP for the agency. Yeah,
so we're building that into part of the integration between ourselves and Firefish. We know those numbers internally. So for example, last year we lost just over 3,000 contractors who registered with us, but then they started a job with another agency who didn't work with AGPayroll. Every agency's got their own PSL. So we're working on how do we retain them, because if we retain the contractors, it makes our life easier, but also gets us onto more PSLs with different agencies. So that's a huge part of our job at the moment, is trying to retain these contractors.
Awesome. So, well, the whole topic of the podcast is hook, line and data, and there's plenty of data points to talk about there where we can drive efficiency. That efficiency allows you to drive top line P&L numbers. Another important thing that I don't want to get lost in the data conversation is that at the end of the day, the candidate experience is also something that is important and we should be measuring, because where would we be without them?
Right. 100%.
Yeah. Right. I failed on the first dad joke.
I was about to say any more jokes, but
I am.
I will regret this.
So I'm going to have one more crack at it.
Okay, let's have it.
So, I placed a candidate last week. They are there to help a one-armed typist with capital letters. It's all shift work. Shift work, get it? Shift work. Shift work. Oh, come on.
What a way to finish.
Right, that's it. I'm done. Cut.
Good man.
That was fun.
Cheers.